China heavily relies on the United States. That is the title of this video. So listen guys, in previous videos we have talked about how GDP is comprised of 4 pillars. First one is consumer spending, second one is government spending, third one is corporation spending, and fourth one is export minus import. We talk about how the United States runs the fourth pillar. They run what we call import deficit. And we talked about how Trump sees this as a problem for the United States and how he wants to change this. Which I believe is short-sighted, but if you wanna know why it's short-sighted, you should check out the previous video. Today I wanna talk about China. I wanna talk about China. Especially, we have to focus on the fourth pillar, which is the export minus import. China is literally the opposite of United States. They run what we call export surplus. They run export surplus, which means that they make the most amount of money by creating products and selling them outside of China, and mainly selling them to the United States. Now, you have to understand that, generally speaking, extremes in economics are not good. You would want to obviously export more than import, theoretically speaking. So import deficit is not very beneficial. That is true. That is not very beneficial for your companies. But you have to understand, guys, this is very important. The other extreme, export surplus, has its negatives too. There are huge negatives to running economy that is solely reliant on export surplus, like the Chinese. This creates a huge dependency. This means that the Chinese economy is heavily dependent on the United States' economy. So, for example, as we saw, the markets dipped a little bit. I am filming this on Tuesday. Yesterday was the Orange Monday, and so we saw a little bit of markets have been consolidating sideways. But before the weekend, there was stock moved down, and as we saw, the Chinese stock moved down as well. That is because if the consumer is weak in the United States, they cannot purchase Chinese products, and this means bad economic outlook for the Chinese as well. That is because if you run export surplus, if you export a lot of goods into the United States, when the United States is weak and when they cannot consume more and more products, that is bad for the Chinese because they solely rely on the United States. They are dependent on the United States, and so this ties me back to one of the things that I wanted to talk about originally. This is the fact that we have seen a lot of posturing from Beijing, basically going tariff for tariff, and sort of doing this a little bit of like a strong posturing, like sort of what we saw from the Trump administration as well. There is a lot of strong posturing, and big boys talk, and the same thing we can see from Beijing, but in reality, the economies, both of China and United States, are heavily reliant on each other, and so any disturbances, any chaos is bad for both of them. So given all of these facts that I have the layout for you, I truly believe that Beijing and Chinese officials would want nothing more than a quick resolution to this tariff war. They want a stability, and most importantly, they want predictability. Predictability in the markets breeds stability and prosperity. All these three buzzwords are interconnected, and any type of chaos or any type of, you know, this uncertainty is not really good for the stocks and for the market in general. One thing that I did not mention in the first part of this video, in the first rant that I have given to you guys, is that in order to understand China right now in economic terms, we have to understand that China has been benefiting from a very huge growth, economic growth. They have been able to grow their economy even around 10%, 8%, 9%, all of these huge numbers in the past 3 decades. But since the COVID started, they haven't been able to fully recover. They have only registered very small growth in terms of what they have been expecting. For European countries and for United States, it is normal, moderate growth. Chinese have been registering something around 2-3%, but what they would really want is 5% or stuff like that, which are truly huge numbers. But the sentiment is that this may not be possible, and so what I'm trying to tell you guys is that the Chinese economy is not as strong as we might perceive it from looking at it from the outside, but on paper it seems a little bit weaker. So I want to bring this back home. I want to finish by saying that our global economy, especially our global trade, is much more heavily reliant on each other. There is a lot of dependency that we have on each other. For example, we often hear in the news that the United States is heavily dependent on China. For example, all of the components, the chemical components of the medicine that the United States consumes are made by the Chinese. And in today's video, I wanted to show you that not only United States is heavily dependent on China, but vice versa. The Chinese economy is heavily dependent on the United States' consumer. And so if you like this video today, thank you so much for watching. Check out all of these videos that are all over here and there. And as always, I will see you in the next one, okay? Guys, bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.